Welcome. In front of me I have the VIVO X60 Pro, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. Now I do know that this phone has been out for probably like a year, considering there's already X70 nowadays, but anyway, I am kind of excited for this one. I would really be more excited for the X60 Pro Plus, but the only thing I got here is this one. So anyway, let's pop it open and see what we get in here. So get a look at the phone itself. Let me just rip that off. There we go, get rid of that. So the casing already looks really nice. I never get like really into casing, but this is nice. It feels premium basically. So now let's pop it open. So again, casing or box really nicely finished. And then we got the phone itself in here. Got some stickers, whatever. And if we lift it up, gimbal stabilization 2.0. And here we most likely, I assume, we'll get a casing for the phone. And yep, it seems like I was right. So we got phone case, we got paperwork, and we got a SIM eject tool. Now this is plastic, so fairly nice rigid stiff case. I'll drop the paperwork back in here just so it doesn't annoy me, and throw that to the side. And now move on to the accessories. So we get a charger, already a massive plus in my book. And we don't get any kind of charger, we do get some actual decent charger at 33 watts. Those still get included in the boxes, how wonderful. Nice. Then below that, I guess I have to open it up from the other side. There we go, we get earbuds. That's again another surprise. They are a 3.5mm jack. So I assume the phone itself has a jack. Let's just quickly check. Nope, it actually looks like it does not. So there we go. We get a USB-C to 3.5. Again, another accessory. There's also something in here as well. Ear tips. And lastly, the cable itself. So this is gonna be obviously Type-C cable. And there we go, Type A to Type C. If you can see it. Oh, there we go. Hopefully I can get it back in there. Okay, so let's just toss that out here, move that to the side, and bring everything in the view just so we can see what's in the box actually. And in here we have obviously the phone itself. Nice. So I'm gonna turn it on. And additionally I'm just gonna slap the case on here just so you can see how it looks like. And there we go. And the casing is nice and slim. It barely even looks like it's on here, which is a nice thing. So anyway, while I'm going through the setup of this phone, I'll quickly go over the specs of it. So I'm just gonna start off with the display, which is an AMOLED display. It's a, just quickly scroll up, it's a 6.56 inch 1080p by 2376 pixels, which puts it at 398 pixels per inch. So really nice dense display right here, although it's what I would consider a standard nowadays for premium phones and even like mid-range ones. So it's good. Now moving on, we have 90% or 90.1% screen to body ratio. Obviously we do have a curved display right here, which adds to that percentage. And the display itself is really nice with the curved edges and just a minimal bezels, to be honest. It looks really good. Now it does have a hole punched camera up here. So that's probably one of the things that I like the least. Although this phone was released before manufacturers start making the under display cameras, because nowadays phones are coming up with those. This is before that time, so I guess hole punch camera is as good as you can get at that time anyway. So obviously right here it booted up. Now what you're looking at right here is a FunTouch 11, and it is on an Android 11 base, so again really nice here. The display itself additionally is a 120 Hz HDR10 Plus rated display, so you basically getting the best you can actually get, at least at the time this phone was released. I will mention that again, because nowadays there are a little bit better ones, better displays, for instance like 144, but to be perfectly honest, those 24 Hz I don't really care that much. It's not as visible as it is the jump from 60 to 120. That is the massive leap, which adds to just the user experience a lot, while the additional like 24 Hz doesn't really make a difference. So yeah, it's basically the display is as good as I would expect and desire. And additionally, the only downside here compared to the newer devices nowadays that were released, this has a older Snapdragon, so it's 870. It is still a 5G chipset, but nowadays we have a Snapdragon 888, so that would be the best. But anyway, let's move on to the build. So at the front we have a Gorilla Glass 6, and then at the back we have additionally, well, Gorilla Glass 6, and then the frame of the device is an aluminum frame, so the phone should be fairly rigid as well. Moving on to the cameras, which we have at the back. Obviously they are Zeiss, supposedly Zeiss cameras. They have the branding right here, as you can see, and it's one of those phones that has a gimbaled camera, so the one that you can barely get it into view. This little sensor right here is on a gimbal, so it will move when your hand shakes, stuff like that. The camera will literally move itself just so it can keep with the subject, so you cannot see the shake. And that sensor right here, the biggest one, is a 48 megapixel wide sensor, and then we have two below that, as you can see those. So that's a 13 megapixel telephoto and 13 megapixel ultra wide. So camera setup here is fairly decent. And at the front, the hole punched camera, we have a 32 megapixel wide sensor. Now going back to the back one, we can shoot videos with those at 4K 30 and 60 frames with, again, that gimbal. They should look just fantastic, to be honest. And then if you drop it to 1080p, you don't get any benefits. You can shoot at 1080p, 30 and 60. The only, I guess, benefit there would be that you'll save up some space. 1080p takes about a quarter of space on your phone per minute, comparing to the 4K. And the front selfie camera can shoot at, again, 1080p, but just 30 frames. So anyway, I'm gonna actually launch the camera right here and just see how it looks like. So maybe let me just kind of go get my little keyboard in here, and I want to record some video. So I'm gonna keep this visible on the camera just so you can see me kind of like wobble this. And now normally, obviously, wobble would be not as severe unless I have Parkinson's, but you'll see right here that this did come out to be fairly stable. Okay, a lot of so it is a little bit visible, but honestly, to the amount of movement that I was doing, it's literally nothing. Now, additionally, I can just do a little thing right here. If I go to recording, hopefully let me just quickly try to move the little light in a way that you can see it. You should be able to see the lens literally move. It's staying stationary, as you can see, that little center right here, while the phone is moving a little bit. Now I cannot get it to actually show the entire lens itself. It can't find the light. Oh, there we go, maybe right now. Can see it move a little bit, but it's honestly really hard to show it. I don't know why. The coating on this makes the camera not really pick up the what's below the glass itself, which makes it really difficult to actually capture the lens itself. But if you see this, it looks really weird when you're actually moving the phone, and the camera just kind of like adjusts itself. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the rest of the overview of this. So we do, like I mentioned before, have a Snapdragon 870, which is a 5G chipset. We have only one option, which is 256 gigabytes of storage and whopping 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is actually quite a lot. And additionally, that storage that we have here is a UFS 3.1, so it will be blazing fast, really handy when you're recording 4K footage. This makes it so that the phone can read and write that footage way quicker compared to like 2.0 UFS storages or even just the typical ones. Now the 3.1 is equivalent of like an SSD on your computer. So like I said, it's really good. And moving on, we do, like I mentioned, I think before, we'll have an Android 11 in here with a FunTouch 11. FunTouch is just a skin on it. And honestly, I have to say that they did fairly minimum amount of skinning. Obviously, the notification shade looks a little bit different. But other than that, it looks like there is not much bloatware in here. We do have, for some reason, TikTok, some VIVO.com. But other than that, it looks like... Oh, there's also Booking as a bloatware application, but that's about it. The rest of it is just Google applications, and that's about it. We have obviously Facebook, but literally every phone has Facebook pre-installed for some reason. Zuckerberg obviously wants your data. So yeah. Now moving on, we also have an under-display fingerprint sensor. Again, I really like under-display fingerprint readers, even though they're not as quick and reliable as, for instance, side-mounted or the back-mounted, the physical ones. I still really like them way more than any kind of other one. Just a personal preference, to be honest. And when it comes down to the battery life, we have a 4200 milliamp hour battery. And the phone is fairly thin, as you can see, and it's not the biggest one. It is a little bit bigger than what I'm used to. As you can see, I have my little Mate 20 Pro right here. So there we go. But you can see that it is a little bit bigger than this phone, and when it comes down to width, it's basically the same. Oh wait, no, it's actually a little bit wider than this one. And yeah, obviously this phone will be better than what I just showed you. I just have a size comparison, I guess, to like an older phone. But yeah, 4200 milliamp hour battery, 33 watts charging through a cable, and I don't think we have any kind of wireless charging. I do have a brick right here, or not a brick, but Qi charger. I can quickly check it, but there shouldn't be any charging right here. Yeah, there isn't. So that's a little bit of a shame. I would really like to see a Qi charging on here as well, even if it's just like a 5 watt or something, but we don't have that here. And lastly, we do have two different colors of this phone. So this one, actually, let me quickly check, what is this one? So we have the midnight black right here. This, I do have to say, doesn't actually look like black. Let me just take that off. So yeah, this surely does not look like black. So we have the midnight black, which apparently this is, and there's also a shimmering blue, which this is not, even though it's closer to shimmering blue in my opinion in terms of color wise than it is to black. So yeah, it still looks really nice. It's fairly clean design. The phone is fairly minimal, obviously. It's really nice. I do like the design of it. So yeah. Now lastly, the price of this phone is about, let me quickly actually check because I haven't checked it, but it should be somewhere above 500 if I remember correctly. So the price range here is apparently it's kind of wonky. It's $630, which is without a tax, which also in euros it would be 800 euros, which I believe that is already with tax included. So obviously 630 with tax would probably come out to be close to exactly like 800, maybe a little bit below. So anyway, the phone honestly is really nice. I personally would probably save up and get the Pro Plus version of it, just because I believe that one has some additional camera features which this one does not, and this specific phone I think was just primarily going for like the really good cameras. So if you buy this phone for the cameras like I would just go for the higher one, which has additional, I believe, a telephoto lens, not telephoto, the periscope lens, with additional some kind of features in the camera application that we don't, I believe, have here. Now I haven't really used this extensively, so I have no idea what we get in the camera, but like I said, I'll probably go for the higher one, considering it would cost about 200 more. So if you're spending already like almost $700, maybe $800 on this with tax, you might as well just go for the higher one and pay $1,000 like every other phone costs and call it a day and have the best one. So yeah, that's basically the overview. It's still a fantastic phone. It would be most certainly better than what I have right now and a decent upgrade. The accessories that we have here is just a plentiful right here. Really like the fact that they did include a lot of things in here, because they didn't have to, but again, it's really nice to see just things like a charger in my box. Additionally, a casing, a nice casing additionally on top of that. And overall, the entire experience of unboxing this phone was really pleasant, from like the packaging itself of the box, how it was finished. The phone feels premium right from the get-go, even though it doesn't really cost as much as just like typical Samsung and stuff like that. The experience of just getting to the phone was way better and more enjoyable than anything else, and the phone itself also delivers some serious performance, so it is an outstanding phone. Now, that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.